Hi everybody, it's Amber from Sweet Am's Cookies. In this video, I'll show you how I made these Shamrock Shake Inspired Cookies with marbled royal icing transfers, and luster dust. I'm using 2 cookie cutters to make these cookies. This one is a coffee cup, and this one is an ice cream cone. I'm trimming the coffee cup so that it has straight edges. I'm pressing the 2 pieces together before I bake the cookie. And this will go into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 12 minutes. I'm pouring fluid consistency icing onto a plate. Normally I would pipe the icing directly onto the cookie, but these are going to be dipped. Now I'm adding a little bit of dark green fluid consistency icing. I'm using a tip 1 here, but the tip size isn't really important for this cookie. Now I'm using my Scribe tool to swirl the 2 shades of green together. I'm dipping the cookie into the icing and moving it around a little bit to swirl the colors. Now I'm adding a little bit more dark green so that I can have more layers and swirls on my cookie. And then you can just use your Scribe tool to even out the icing along the edges. I'm making royal icing transfers on wax paper. First I'm dusting the wax paper with luster dust so that way my transfers will have shimmer on both sides. I'm using green royal icing that's a little bit thicker than fluid consistency to pipe these shamrocks, and this is a decorating tip 2. Now I'm piping some dots in between the shamrocks. And then I'm doing the same thing with brown icing. These need to dry for at least a few hours before you can paint them. I let mine dry overnight. I'm adding a few drops of vodka to the luster dust, and this is the same luster dust that I used to dust the wax paper. You can also use grain alcohol or any flavor extract like vanilla, lemon, or almond. And then you can use that to paint the royal icing transfers. Those will need a few minutes to dry before you remove them from the wax paper. The shamrocks are really fragile, so it's better if you remove those by hand instead of with a spatula. To make a straw for the shakes, I'm painting a Twizzler gold using the same gold luster dust that I used to paint the royal icing transfers. For the whipped cream on the shakes, I'm using stiff consistency royal icing with a decorating tip 1M. And then you'll want to put the straw in while that icing is still wet. Now I'm adding my royal icing transfers. And these are the finished Shamrock Shake cookies. Thanks for watching. Bye!